Hello, welcome back to this Arsenal podcast for something we haven't done ever on this channel, a match preview, and it's might as well do it for a cup final. Why not? Um, Sunday 4:30 kickoff. I've got a Man City fan with me. We found one, an actual decent one as well. That was hard, especially on YouTube these days. But Kel, how you doing? And yeah, looking forward to Sunday.
Hello, thanks for having me. We've been kind of talking about streaming together for a while, so I'm glad we finally made it happen.
It's supposed
But
to be
yeah,
a cup final, but yeah,
yeah, I know it's crazy. It's like this is a trophy that my team has dominated for a while, but we haven't actually done well in it the past couple of years. So it kind of feels like, all right, we're getting back to it. Let's hope we can win it on Sunday because we usually haven't played in this final in a couple of years. So
we have
gotta get back into the motion of it.
yeah, was it a 5-6 year dominance of literally win after win after win after win, no matter who you played?
Yeah, I think it was 4 in a row.
4 or 5, one of the two. I know
4 or
you.
5. Yeah, it was quite a few. Yeah.
Amongst that win rate, that dominance, you did play us the last time we was in the final. It was against yourselves, and you beat us 3-0.
Oh yeah, in the Carabao Cup Final. I was gonna say the last time we were in a actually not. I guess that was the
That would
last
be the
final.
last final. That would be the last final we've been in. We've met in semi-finals and knocked you out, FA Cup wise. But
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. I was about to be like, wait, that FA Cup final that Arteta won, but I forgot we got knocked out in the semis for that one on it.
Yeah,
the
Birmingham
quarters or something. It wasn't in the actual final.
when the Birmingham decided to turn up once upon a time, before it all went to you know what. But no, going back to obviously this is the last time we played in the final was basically Arsene Wenger's last cup final before he left a few months later. And as I say, look at the squad then compared to now, vast difference. But also from Man City's point of view, like as you say, like the dominating of this top competition you've had since Pep's arrived in the country is no one, even Sir Alex never dominated it like this. And how are you as a fan, obviously with everything that's going on this season, even last season, how are you going into this? Because this ain't the same Man City in terms of you usually go to a final no matter who you're playing, be it an Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool, and you're heavy favourites, and you usually run out comfortable. But you're sort of going into this final with a bit of, in terms of recently, bad form. Like Nottingham Forest 2-2?
That was a 2-2, yeah.
And obviously West Ham last weekend. You got in between that, you've had Real Madrid to deal with. It's not, in terms of form and confidence, not the best of times to be playing in the final against a team that's known to defend well.
Yeah, I actually don't. I'm all over the place for this final, and I think a big reason of that is because of Pep Guardiola. I just think this season Pep is struggling to find a good team. He did find a good team back in like the end of 2025. But ever since the year has turned to 2026, I think there's been a major setback in our tactics and the personnel. Pep cannot pick a consistent lineup. He can't pick a consistent style. He's trying to shove players in the lineup out of position. I think for me, it really came home to roost in that game at the Bernabeu in the R16 leg 1, where he just threw this insane lineup, and that personally just has shattered my confidence in him for this season. He got the lineup better for the home leg, but unfortunately he messed up so badly in that first leg that the home leg didn't matter. So I'm curious what that lineup would have looked like if it was actually a competitive match, because being down 3-0 in an aggregate is very difficult to overcome. But he did at least put a good lineup out there that looked lively and looked like it was going to score goals. Unfortunately, the finishing has gone to crap in the past couple of weeks, so that's caused us to drop all these points. But yeah, I think if Pep plays a similar lineup to what he did on Tuesday against Real Madrid, I think we'll have a much better chance, because we've been lacking shot creation, and he keeps shoving in wingers who can't create, and he keeps shoving in. He has a midfield that doesn't create. But I think he got that lineup pretty much spot on against Real Madrid, and if we play something like that, I'll feel a lot better. But one thing Pep is known for in cup finals is just chaos lineups. Just, oh yeah, like 2021 Champions League final. Let's drop a DM. Let's not play a DM against N'Golo Kante. Genius idea. Just absolutely genius. And Last year's cup final against Crystal Palace, FA Cup final, he decided to shove a Kanji into the team for no reason, and we couldn't create chances against a low block. He took out his, Mateus Nunes had been playing right back for that season, and he was helping us create chances, and he just took that out of the cup final for no reason. And so I'm always going to be nervous about a cup final with Pep. I just don't know what crazy things he's going to come up with. But if he just sticks to basics and sticks to a good, play Doku and Turkey up front with Holland so they can create chances for him. Hopefully have a solid midfield and keep the back line with the two attacking fullbacks and the center back partnership, a good center back partnership. Then I think we'll have a better chance. But I'm not saying that translates into me being confident that we're actually going to win.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, who do you think's going to, obviously, because Mark Gay can't play because he's been told he didn't register in time for the semi-finals, so he can't.
Yeah, we signed him during the semifinals, and he just, I guess the cutoff was you had to be, sorry, my cat has decided to join us. So hello, cat. This is very normal on stream. She always has to come in and.
Oh, trust me, I've got animals myself, and recently in the last couple of years, there's been my dog popping up every time I ask for score. So
I know, animals are the best. They just are. They're just always so sweet.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Gahey, we signed him in between the two legs against Newcastle, and he had to have been on the team and registered before the first leg, and so he wasn't. So he's ineligible. But Antoine Semenyo is eligible because he was signed in time. But I think for center back partnerships, I think it's going to be the one that has to play is Husanov. He's been very impressive lately, and that kid I want him to start the rest of the season. I've just been so I just love what I'm seeing from him. He's helping us on transitions because he's got the pace, and he's just performed very well. I think even in that tie against Madrid, I thought he performed well. The first leg he was played out of position and he kind of struggled. He was playing as a right back instead of a center back, but in that second leg, I think he and Vinicius Jr. had a really good battle. And I think Husanov is personally one of our better players on the day. So I think he's earned his spot. I would assume it'll be Ruben Diaz with him, but again, there's Pep Guardiola factor. You never know what he's going to do. He might throw John Stones in, which I don't think is a smart idea. But he might do it for build-up play. Yeah.
That was playing
John Stones. John Stones still has the quality, but John Stones just hasn't played a lot. So I would hesitate to throw him in cold and do a final. But that's something Pep might do. So.
This is, as you mentioned before, this is Pep. He's known for doing this. Not even just cup finals, random games. I remember when you played like Lyon in the Champions League in the COVID rush through the Champions League period. He was messing about in that, and then also he said the following year, no DM. He does this, but he's been doing it. But usually he does it is like one-off games in a season, 1 or 2 games in a season. He's doing it more and more consistently, as you mentioned before. I don't get what, especially I understand. Like, De Bruyne's gone, but he brought Shirky in. He got a knock, but he's come back. Came back from that injury. Lino as well. He lost a lot of weight. And Pep, we all know Pep loves a player to have a certain physique for how he wants his players to play. But he doesn't like it for some reason recently. I mean, I know you've mentioned it before on other channels. It's like for whatever reason, he doesn't want to start with the most creative player you've got, which is Ryan Shirky. Without him, you don't have that creativity. And I think if he doubles, I doubt I do think he'll play Shirky. It'd be stupid not to, in my opinion.
If he doesn't start Turkey in this game, then I'm going to have no faith in us winning at all.
Because as even Haaland struggled without someone in that midfield to create. Because the wingers, I don't rate your winger. Byron Semenyo, who's coming and he's hit the ground running, fair play to him. Yeah, all your Doku, he's hit and miss. He'll go for a purple patch and he'll disappear. Purple patch again. Mamouche had a great start when he arrived, but then he's died off a bit. He's sort of in the background now. I don't rely on your wingers behind Semenyo, and I do, as I say, I do think you need that oomph in the middle of the park. You can't just go DM for DM and DM and have no creativity, because that's going to feed into Arteta. Arteta will just double down and then go, okay, then we could play that game. And we've seen all season. We saw it at the start of the season when we played each other in the Emirates. Pep came to park the bus, but do us on the counter. It almost worked. So that's another question, because it almost worked in the league a few months ago. Would he do that again, or is he going to do go back tried and trusted was he did it briefly after the Fulham 5-4 game. With 3 or 4 games, he went back. In terms of playing style, he was he had you playing like the old Man City. I'll be honest. I was thinking, oh, here we go. Okay, you're clicking in now. But then New Year's Day, he's gone back on himself. He's gone back to what he was prior to the Fulham game, and he hasn't gone back since. And that's don't get me wrong, I'm loving it because he when we've messed up, he hasn't took advantage of it and all that. So it's benefited us in one sense, but for all the years we've seen Pep, I've never seen him go this not just gun-ho, but complete, during the season, just complete one extreme to the other, no matter, and you don't know what you're going to get with Pep.
Yeah, and I think part of it has to do with the squad building. I don't know how aware people are of this, or non-City fans is over the past year and a half, we have gone through a sporting director change. And I think that towards the end of our old sporting director's tenure, he was buying a lot of players that I don't think are necessarily City players. Like, it actually started the year we won the treble that summer. He bought Erling Haaland, who is just not a Pep player because he's elite at his 1 or 2 skills that putting the ball in the back of the net. He's arguably the best in the world at doing that, but he's not going to help in the build-up play. And while his hold-up play has gotten better, it's still not elite. And then the following summer, he bought Jeremy Doku, Mateus Nunes, and Mateo Kovacic, which those to me are just ball carriers and just attacking wingers who are not high levels of technicality, but decent enough. And then the next summer we did nothing. And then kind of the new sporting director started to come in the January of last season, the disaster season we had. And he bought Omar Marmoush, who I don't think I guess that was still the old sporting director, but I don't think Omar Marmoush is really a Pep player because his levels of technicality are just too low. I think Pep is struggling to fit him into the team because he's a great goal scorer, but he's great at pressing. I like that aspect of him, but he just doesn't fit the Pep mold very well. Savinho, I guess he's more of a direct player, but he does have high levels of tech, and Pep does love him. But I just feel like there's been a mishmash of these players. Pep is trying to figure out the style with all these players, and then he just has too many players right now. So they're unhappy. I think some of them are kind of pounding on the door being I want to play. And so he's trying to play them, and it's just not fitting into his system. So I think there's going to be some change this summer. I think a couple of players will probably leave, but what's frustrating me the most about this season is I do think Pep found a system that actually suits a lot of these more direct players. We were playing it earlier in the season when we started creeping back up into a title race. It was from October to December, we were playing more direct football, and I wouldn't call it transition necessarily, but maybe it was in a couple of games, against Bournemouth at home. That's a game I really want to emphasize this new style. And this is when Phil Foden was actually, I know everyone forgot about Phil Foden, but Phil Foden was in the team. He and Turkey were playing next to each other in the midfield, and they were thriving, and Doku was on the wing, and Haaland was running. Everybody looked like they were having a great time. And, it was very un-Pep-like. There was low possession, but it was direct play. We were scoring goals, and we were, we had to absorb a lot of pressure at times, but we were keeping clean sheets or only conceding 1 goal or so. And it was great. It was fun to watch. We all enjoyed it. And then it just kind of fizzled out. And then the new year came, and Pep decided to go back to this possession ball that I just don't think suits anyone on the team right now. Turkey started getting benched. I know Doku was injured for a while, so that's why he wasn't playing. He's just come back from injury a couple weeks ago. I think he's back in form now, but he did miss quite a bit of that chunk. And the biggest thing was Rodri came back, and there's a big theory going on that Rodri can't handle the style when we've never actually played it since he's come back. But we have definitely changed the style since Rodri came back, and it's more of that Pep philosophy, keep the ball. Your best defense is just keeping the ball. But unfortunately, the quality of the people trying to keep the ball has just declined a bit. In some cases, dramatically. That's been the hallmark, and we've had elite technicians who can hold the ball in their prime, but we don't really have that anymore. Bernardo Silva has kind of been the hallmark of that for over 8 years, but Bernardo Silva is old. he's starting to decline in quality, and he's not holding the ball like he used to. He doesn't have the pace anymore. For me, he's starting to become a liability. I don't think we need him in our starting lineup, but Pep has declared he's his favorite player, so he plays every game, and I think that's actually starting to hurt us because we're benching a player in that midfield who I think could be giving us more of what we need to kind of adapt to the modern game. Like we've seen the Premier League, it's become more of a P&P league. Like there's more pace and there's more power. He has neither of those things. We have those things on the bench. They're not playing. And it's just been really frustrating for me since the year turned. And I want to go back to what we were doing. I want to go back to that transition style, that more direct play where people were enjoying their football. And it's just been kind of a slog ever since. And we were unexpectedly in a title race, and then we just kind of fell out of it because we weren't creating chances, and we kept dropping points because we weren't scoring enough goals. And Holland looks like he's not having fun right now because he's barely getting the ball. And then the one time he gets it, you think he's going to bag it, but then he just doesn't because he's not getting enough chances, so he's not sharp and fresh anymore. So it's just been the past couple of months, since January 1st, it's been very frustrating for me. It's sometimes hard to watch.
I get that. I mean, I've been there with the back end of Wenger's time in terms of square pegs and round holes plays that were not good enough, kept on playing their very favourites no matter what. So I've been there. Going back to the Rodri though, you mentioned that before. I said this back in the summer when it was coming out back in the last season, going into the Club World Cup, and he was like, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be ready. I'm like, coming from an Arsenal fan, because I support both the men and the women's team, so I follow both. I cover both on this channel. I know my fair share of ACLs, and I think even then I was saying he's asking a lot of his body at his age as well to come back so soon after getting back from the ACL back into training and all that. Then he had the setback. Then he started the season and he had another setback. Do you think? My point is, do you think Pep even doesn't understand what the ACL has done and can do to players, especially of Rodri's age, in that position? He got too much reliance because I know you're a fan of Nico Gonzalez, and the second Rodri's available, Nico's on the bench most of the time, and you think that's damaging you as well in the midfield because basically Rodri, all these setbacks, he's still not back to fitness-wise where he should be, and Pep's expecting him to just click back to the Rodri pre-ACL, and that's not helping the midfield, and that's not helping your team because, as I say, whereas before you'd have to run through a brick wall to get past Rodri, let alone the midfield of Man City. We saw it once he came out, and he's come back since. Is because he's not back to it. He can't probably. His body's not physically able to get back to that. Any team of any ilk that has any football knowledge can get bypassed at a midfield with Rodri in now. And maybe he should have used this season to bed in and use Nico a lot more than what he has done.
Yeah, and one thing I have been crying for all season is I said play them together because Nico G has shown the defensive aptitude for what needs to be done, and Rodri himself is quite good at going forward. So I don't understand why you wouldn't play the two. Like Rodri is always going to be the better player going forward because he's got those line breaking passes. He's creative. He can crash the box sometimes. Like we saw it at the year 23-24, the year before he got injured, the year he won the Ballon d'Or. We saw just how elite he was going forward with the ball. So I don't understand why you wouldn't kind of feed into that a little bit, especially when we're having creative issues. And we kind of saw something trialed in that season that I've been dying to go back to is towards the end of that season when Rodri his legs had gone because he plays every game. Him and Mateo Kovacic were like a pivot, and Mateo would stay back and Rodri would go forward. And so that way Kovacic kind of plugged the hole in the middle. So when Rodri was going forward, there wouldn't, we wouldn't be super vulnerable on transition because there'd be somebody there. I don't understand why we haven't tried that with Nico Gonzalez. We've seen the two of them, Rodri and Nico G, play together for about 20 minutes in that Spurs game that we ended up bottling. And I've heard people in my fan base who don't like this idea, and they're constantly like going against me, and they're just like, well, it didn't work in that Spurs game. I was like, it was 20 minutes at the end of a game that we had just like basically emotionally just like collapsed in. And you're going to tell me that we should just abandon the idea of that because it didn't work once in a really highly sensitive and emotional game. I don't get it. But I think Pep is making a mistake with how he's using Rodri. Because, yeah, like you've said, he is coming back. He doesn't have quite the same physique as he used to. He needs legs in the middle to kind of help him. And Pep has kind of done something to address that. He's been playing Nico O'Reilly in the middle. But for me, that midfield is just not working at all right now because it's because he's playing Rodri and Bernardo Silva together. And in the year 2026, the two of them combined, one of them is just old and one of them is coming back from an ACL surgery. The two of them just don't work physically for me. They have very little physicality. Bernardo's not going to do anything he's not going to put a tackle in. He's not winning a lot of duels. He's not creating chances. So I just don't understand why he's playing. I do know it's because he's Pep's favorite, but like tactically, I don't, all I hear is, well, he runs a lot. And I'm like, what does the running accomplish? Is it helping us create chances? Is it helping us defensively? Is he covering ground? I'm personally not seeing it. I'm just seeing teams cut us open very wide, like in that midfield. You really saw that against Real Madrid. They knew exactly where to kill us. They're like, yeah, I see a 29-year-old coming off an ACL and I see a 31-year-old who's been run ragged. I'm going to attack that. And they cut through it every time with ease or one ball over the top. I would personally, if I had my druthers, I would be playing Rodri and Nico G together with Ryan Cherky as the 10. And then you could have Doku and Semenyo on the wing. Never seen it. I'd love to see, I'm just dying to see Rodri and Nico G together in any capacity because I think Pep thinks that this is still prime Rodri. This is still like Ballon d'Or, like a pre-injury Rodri, and that he can handle the midfield by himself. And I just think it's very clear that he just cannot. And that's no slight on him because, again, it's a major injury. He is getting older. But I think it's like a crutch for Pep. He just thinks, yeah, he'll just be able to do that again. And he frankly can't. And Nico O'Reilly has helped plug that hole a bit. He's the legs in that midfield right now. He's the one kind of running around and he's crashing the box here and there, but he's the one kind of helping back on defense a little bit. So that kind of helps it. But again, there's just still no creativity in that midfield. So that's been frustrating. But as much as I'm dying to see Rodri Nico G, I would not do it in the final because it's too experimental. I wouldn't. I'd try and do it after the final just because like it's seemingly we're seemingly out of this title race that we never had no business being in. I mean, I know that everyone's like, well, if we win our game in hand and if we beat Arsenal, then it's only 3 points. I'm like, if you had to tell me right now if I'm going to pick Arsenal or going to pick us to beat Arsenal in that Premier League game, I would say probably not. So for me, in my head, that Nottingham Forest game just killed it, and then the West Ham game just added on to it.
Back-to-back draws have sort of done it for you, but I think it's done it for you more so because we've collected 6 points out of 6 ourselves in that time frame as well. And but this is what I'm saying in terms of, I'm not going to mention names, I'm on about, but there's certain fans in our fan base that drive me mad. Have this mentality of, well, we've got 8 games. You've got 8 games. We still
have that game in hand, and I have no idea when it's going to be played now because Crystal Palace advanced in Europe, so that's why we can't reschedule it. It's because they're going to be playing midweek.
This whole every week we've got this. We'll beat our game, win our game in hand. We'll beat Arsenal, and we'll go on and win it. Like you've been saying this since January that you're going to go on this run because historically you do but here we go, boom, you go on to 15 whatever game, unbeaten run, win run, you get over the line that way. I've been saying late mid-December onwards that this ain't the same City as them times where because you've got players, a couple of players here that are still from that era, but this is a very newish squad that ain't new to them. That mentality of no, this is what we have to do. This F, Y, and Z, if buts or maybes. We win. We find ways to win games, and we make our rivals suffer. Week in, week out, we keep up. We drain them physically, mentally, whatever we have to do on our side to get over that line. And I said after, no. It's the only way. And I said to you, the only way City were to win this. This is about 2 or 3 months ago. I've said this to you, is if Arsenal themselves drop off drastically and give it to you, basically, like we did a couple of years ago. But
And to
it's
be fair, you had a stretch where we could have pounced and we just couldn't
January. That
capitalize.
January,
Yeah,
like
in January, the beginning of January too, is we dropped points to Brighton and Chelsea at home.
mm,
You were dropping points at that same period too, so we could have capitalized, and we had leads in both of those games, and we just dropped the ball in both of them. So like it was there, and then you went through a stretch recently where you dropped points to like Brentford and someone else. Nottingham
Wolves.
Forest. I remember you dropped
Yeah,
points in that
yeah,
game. So there
yeah,
were opportunities to capitalize, and we just didn't. And now it just looks like there's just not. I think we're just gonna run out of time.
yeah. I think it's a matter of when, not if. Now at this point with the league side of things, because I just think, barring yourself after this international break, we play you on the second league game back anyway. The rest of our games, we should home and away, but we should be coming away with maximum points at the very least. I think the one game, as I say, is yourself where we could drop points. Other than that, I don't see us having any problems. I mean, we've got Bournemouth first game back at home in the league. Yourselves, we've got Newcastle at home. We have a good record at home against Newcastle. We've got Palace on the end of the season, Burnley, teams that will either be gone, but have their season done and dusted, or gone, or whatever. They've nothing to fight for when we go to play them, and that's where that's going to benefit us. Whereas you've got Chelsea. That's your first two games back is Chelsea away.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
it's
gonna be
interesting
real though.
because
I don't rate this
that's an
Chelsea team.
interesting one now, because Chelsea, you should beat Chelsea, but then again,
That
this
Chelsea
ain't the
team is
city.
not good. And they
It's just
have a very
it's
spotty
mad.
record at Stamford Bridge this year too. They're not as
Yeah,
elite as they are,
no,
but then again, Pep Guardiola couldn't beat their U18 manager. So
but
again, I have no clue what's
it's
going on.
also as bad as Chelsea are. You've dropped, as you mentioned, not we both had it. I would say that, but you've dropped points against teams, especially at home. The Etihad would be a fortress, but previous to this season, you're dropping points to teams you shouldn't be dropping points to, really. In terms of your Forest, you mentioned your Forests and your Fulhams and your Brightons. Even Leeds almost took points off you
Yeah.
back in December, and then almost did it at Elland Road as well. Well, years gone by, last season, especially the season before, you're blitzing these teams 4-5s with ease. Not even breaking a sweat. And this is what I say to lots of Hamza. I'm mentioning his name through it.
I know you have a little. I know how you feel about him.
This ain't this again. He keeps comparing it to City of old and the Arsenal of old from an Arsenal point of view. But this is from an Man City point of view. This ain't the same Man City. I keep trying to reiterate just to him alone, because he doesn't want to understand that you are going through transition. This is a transitional period. You're just, as you say, happen to be in a title race, but it's not. The players are not there yet, where they need to be. And then you've got all these rumours of the manager might be going, and this, that, and the other behind the scenes. He just needs to. Fans like him need to realise uh, clubs like Arsenal have caught up. They are going to compete. They are going to now go toe to toe. It's just a matter of if you can match us or beat or go ahead of us now. Seasons going forward, no matter who, be it Pep or whoever's going to be in charge in years to come.
Yeah,
I
I think Pep
do
will
agree.
see out his contract, but
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
clarify that speculation. I know there's a lot of
yeah.
people like praying that he leaves at the end of the season, but what he's done this season is this is probably the first time I've ever questioned if I would want to if
This
we
is
should maybe think about moving him on, because
this is the
I don't
thing.
think we should sack him. I think we should give him next season. I don't know if he'll sign a new contract, because I think that's kind of everyone's up in the air about that. Is like, is he gonna? Because he keeps doing these 1 or 2 years extensions, and it's hard to build a team around that. But if I think he's had a terrible season. I've counted so many times where I'm like, that's on Pep. That's on Pep. Like with these weird lineups, these weird tactics. The substitutions have been pretty awful in a lot of these games. But then there's some games he gets it spot on. Like I was saying earlier, what frustrates the hell out of me this season is he found a solution and he just decided to abandon it.
All
He found that
games, and they went,
solution in the middle early part of the season, and he just decided to abandon it. And it's hard for me to have confidence. And that Real Madrid team
oh,
that he played literally just broke me. I literally can't. I was like, what are you doing going to the Bernabeu with that front line? I don't get it at all. He's just shoving in. It seems like he's shoving in people who don't haven't earned their spot, and he's benching people who have earned their spot. And so I'm wondering if there's issues in the dressing room over that, because like Nico Gonzalez doesn't deserve to just be abandoned the way he has. We played some of our best ball with him running the team. And he's shoving in Savinho, who's done nothing to earn. Like he shoved him into that game at the Bernabeu. That guy's done nothing to earn a spot, and
after trying to sell him in the summer, after trying to sell him to Tottenham in the summer for was it £60 million or something like that? Did it?
I don't know how. From what I've heard, it wasn't actually. Apparently, Tottenham actually only offered like 30 or 40. So they tried to completely lowball us.
Still, the point.
Pep Guardiola overruled. Pep loves the guy for some reason. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I mean, he was fine last season. You know. First year in the Prem, played a lot. He had like 13 assists in all comps. Like that's not terrible numbers at age 20 if your first season in the Prem. But this season has just been a massive disappointment. He has missed quite a bit of it with injury, but I haven't seen the same that I saw from him last season that I had this season. So I'm open. I mean, I'll give the guy another season because we gave Doku long enough, and Doku hasn't done much.
Again, he's Doku's purple patch. I mentioned this earlier. He's that player goes through a period. We've seen a season goes through a period of blitz. He'll do what he has to do. Like, he'll look amazing, get comfortable. Like he's got a position now, and then just sit back, armchair up, legs up. He's like, okay, I'm signed now. I'm the manager's favourite for this position, basically. But
he has been one of our better creators of this season. I mean, that shows how far the standards have fallen. Is that he's one of our top creators.
Yeah, again, in terms of the wingers, I mentioned it, the only one that concerns me is Semenyo, in terms of because he's come in, hit the ground running. But I think it was either midweek or the West Ham game when he came on, either which way, where he was a quiet game to his standards. But he has, barring that game, been, from what I've seen, by far your best player since January when he arrived. The standout, the one that's there, score the goals. And as I said, that's the one player going into Sunday that's worrying me, because if we don't switch on, it could be a very interesting one. We don't, again, while we've been live, Arsenal tweeted out that his press conference for Arsenal, he's doing the mind games. So brace yourself. He's basically saying he's got one more training session. We're going to find out if Odegaard and Timber will be available after tomorrow. He's playing the mind games already. I think Timber plays. But going by that and how he's done it in the past, Timber will definitely start. So I
remember Doku actually playing quite well against him at that game in the Emirates. But the problem is that Doku he can get past the guy, or he can like do well against a guy, and then his decision making in the final third is just what's keeping him from being a top player. He just never makes the right decision. Yeah, but I remember that being a really good battle in that game back. It was way back in September. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It does feel a long time ago, especially how the season's gone.
Yeah.
Didn't think, honestly, even that game, I mentioned it earlier, going back to that game, like the first time I've ever seen Pep go to a title rival, be it with Man City or Barcelona or Bayern Munich, go to a title rival and park the bus effectively and not play and not just go hammer for tongue like he usually does. So that's what I think. Maybe that's going to. I don't think he'll do the exact same. I think he'll do something similar to that, just to try and catch us off guard, maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just tweaks what he did in September side and hope he works on Sunday, basically. Because again, as I said before, it almost did if it weren't for an amazing Eze assist.
It came down to Donnarumma. That was a Donnarumma error
positioning,
yeah. Yeah, that was literally a Donnarumma error. But I mean, I think you did play better in the second half of that game, and we were just absorbing the pressure. But it was an interesting approach. I never expected it. But when I think about it, like that, I think that is a style that Arsenal do struggle against. Like, I think they struggle against
that's why we do set pieces. That's why we do set pieces.
And also, I think that's the one thing your defense doesn't handle quite as well as is sometimes those transitions, like defending against them. Sometimes they get caught out, and they got caught. That's how we scored the goal. It was a transition goal. Beautiful pass, and we had done it to you the year before too at that game at the Etihad where Rodri got injured.
Oh yeah, Etihad. Yeah.
Remember, Savinho threw a ball to Haaland, and so that is something that I would hope that Pep would try to do on Sunday, but I don't know if he will. We don't seem to. Yeah, I think in my head, there's only like one or two spots that I can think about that could possibly be changed. Pep did confirm that Trafford is going to be the keeper. He's earned it.
Confirmed that. Okay.
I think, yeah, it won't be Donnarumma. Trafford is the cup keeper, and to be fair, I think Trafford has done very well. I think in the whole Carabao Cup campaign, I think he's only given up like 1 or 2 goals on all the games. He did very well against Newcastle at both legs. Made an outstanding save in a very crucial moment at St. James Park. So I back him fully. He's definitely earned it. Hey, what up, Steve? Strasbourg Steve and I, he's one of my biggest, he and I stream a lot together. So of course he followed me on here, but I think the back line, I'm going to stick with the 2 attacking fullbacks, Ryan Nori and Mateus Nunes. And then I'm playing Husinov, and I'm going to play Diaz, because I think Diaz is just more fit. Like he's warmed up. Like John Stone's coming off the bench, like hasn't started a game in a long time. I don't trust that. His last game was a couple weeks ago in that FA Cup game against Newcastle, where, to be fair, he did well, but I think he only played 45 minutes or something. He didn't play a lot, so I'm not going to bring him in for a final. That's not for me. I personally want to see Rodri, Nico G, Turkey midfield, but I don't think a final is the first time to see that. So, and I think Pep will just kind of stick to this midfield he's been using, which has been Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Nico Riley. And I think that's somewhere you guys can absolutely exploit, because like I've said, in the year 2026, 2 of those players just simply don't have the legs for it anymore. And we know Declan Rice is a monster defensively. So he'll be able to kind of do a lot in that midfield, just because of what he's playing against. If he's not doing that against 2 older players, then I'd have questions about him. And whoever else you play, I haven't watched your team in a while, because I don't enjoy watching them play, so I don't know what your midfield has been lately. But I would assume it would be Odegaard and Zubamendi and.
Well, Odegaard hasn't played since Odegaard hasn't played since we drew to Brentford. He's been out injured.
Oh.
So we've had Eze, and he's been he's actually doing the whole, what we've been told by Palace fans, it's February, March time now. I'm going to turn up now and do what he did obviously last year and years have gone by. He'll just perform out of his backside, basically. He's been really, was it Tuesday? Was it Tuesday? When did he wait? Was it Wednesday? We played the same night. Midweek. And he hit that absolute banger in the first half. He literally got a ball to his foot, turned and slammed it into the goal, basically, from like 20 yards out, whatever. It was on the edge of the box. But his performances, because he's getting other games now, they are getting better. He's getting more on the ball and actually pushing forward a bit more. So I personally would start Eze in the number 10 this week. And Havertz is available, but he hasn't been starting any games. He's just been like drip fed in minutes here and there, just to get him back to fitness and going into this running. But our team usually, the cup wise, has been Kepa in goal. Now for me, I'd rather have Raya. I mean, for me, I'll score in this mindset of it's a cup final. You play your strongest team. So for me, as great as Kepa's been in this competition for us this season, as good as he's been for us so far, I would personally, just for the sake of it, Raya starts, because Kepa League Cup finals against City hasn't gone well in the past. Ask Chelsea fans. When he refused to go off, was it 6-7 years ago that was? But yeah, I'd rather have David Raya in goal, and then obviously if Timber's available, Timber, Liber, Gabriel, and I'd play a Capier. Capier's absolutely been immense for the last 3 months now. He's earned his spot. I know, again, Ricardo's available, but again, he's back in.
He was injured.
He's just come back in the last week and a half from the injury. He's been on the bench, basically. That's what I'm saying. Capier's been doing that so well.
So you're going with 4 centre backs in the back then?
Basically, that's what we always do, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even Ricardo Calafiori, he can play centre back. Yeah. He can play centre back. I mean, even Ben White is a centre back. So basically, all our players are centre backs that can play full back. I mean, Ricardo went off.
Timber.
When Timber went off the other week, I think it was last weekend against Everton. We put Mosquera, who's a centre back, on, played him at right back. So again, this is the thing with Arteta that everyone's realised. Arsenal fans switched on straight away. He loves a versatile player. He loves players that can play multiple positions for the reason of, if an injury comes across, bang, I can throw you in, I can trust you to do your job, basically.
Yeah, that's because he's learned how to manage from Pep. So that's what
Basically,
Pep does.
yeah.
The four
No,
center backs, that's a Pep thing also.
yeah.
That's how we won in trouble. So
Midfield, midfield, in terms of the pivot, is going to be Declan and Zubi. Zubi started off the season well, and then obviously, because the one thing I criticise Arteta for this season is he's not rotated his midfield. We bought Christian Norgard in for the experience. We always knew that, and he always knew he's going to be a squad player. But he's not really used him enough as he should have done, and Zubi played more minutes than he should have done for his first season. Not in a winter break like you would do in Spain. So hence why he had a bit of a drop off at the start of the year. But again, he's slowly getting back to his form prior to that. So, and yeah, them two are going to, and Rice is Rice. I mean, he's been again immense this season. One of our standout players from day one till now. So now you with a pivot, and then again ahead of him in the creative role will be Eze. Saka will start, unless he picks up the knock-in training tomorrow. He'll start. It more likely will be Gyökeres up top because, as I mentioned before, even though Havertz is available, he hasn't been starting enough games for him to start then in the final. And obviously, if anything, he'll actually do that. Have Havertz, had the big game player come off the bench if we need him. The left hand side is one for me that he's not a left winger, but I play Noni Madueke because the two left-footed players we do have that are meant to be well in that position for the last 2.5, but like the last month and a half, have been absolutely abysmal in terms of Trossard and Martinelli. They're not, from a form point of view, not what you need in a final. You need a player. You need all your players to turn up. Basically, you can't afford to carry anyone. And my fear is, if one of them, if Trossard or Martinelli starts, it's like because of what I've been seeing for the last few weeks. The rest of the team's going to have to carry them through the game, basically, because they're going to off Martinelli all the pace that he has. He doesn't offer nothing with the pace. This is a European game this season, and Trossard is he dropped off a cliff for the last month and a half. He's just not in the game whatsoever. And when he does get in the game, he gets himself injured.
Oh, he's getting old then, because he's what 32, 30.
He's got to be. Yeah, he's got. Yeah,
be up there,
yeah, he's got to be pushing on now, and he's pushing to 30, even not in his 30s. But
yeah, I feel like he's somebody who's more dangerous coming off the bench.
Yeah, he's more of an impact. We said this last season as well. Early on in the season, but early on in our season, we asked most of us on this channel said that he's more impactful from the bench. He comes on, the winger is knackered, and needs a bit more room for him to do what he can do. But obviously, with the one area he didn't address in the summer, because he addressed everywhere else but that, and they neither of them went. So it was just like, okay, it's a band-aid. We'll deal with it. We've got Noni as well that can play there, even though he's not natural left winger, but he can play there worst case. And we've seen it every now and then. He does get put out there. Again, it's not great, but it's something. Noni gives us something at least on the left-hand side where he does play out there compared to the other two recently. That's the one question mark. I don't know what Arteta's going to go with. Would he do the tried and trusted of a natural left winger of Martinelli or Trossard, or will he risk try something different with Noni? That's the one position I'm not sure on. Everything else, I can pretty much guarantee in terms of who I said will start. But going back to yourself, who do you see as the main threat from Arsenal towards you coming into Sunday that could cause you massive problems and potentially win us the final and not yourself?
I honestly, it's probably the quarters or the set pieces. I don't rate a lot of your players going forward and attack. I'm just going to be real. I don't rate Gyökeres at all. I have not rated Eze this season. I think from what I've seen of him, he's looked awful. I think Declan Rice is a great player defensively, but I don't really rate him going forward. For me, he's fine, but he's not like, oh, I'm scared. Like, he doesn't seem to be like the guy, like, famous last words, but like he's not the one I'm like, oh, I'm scared of him like scoring some crazy goal, because that's just not really his game. I think Saka used to be that guy, but unfortunately for me, Saka just does not look like the same player after that very devastating hamstring injury that he had. I think he's lost that burst of pace that made him so special. So he's kind of just been average for me since then. Noni Madueke kind of reminds me of Doku. He's got that burst of pace to get past someone and then doesn't do anything afterwards. So for me, what is most scary is probably the corners. Because that is where Declan Rice is excellent. He's quite good at corner delivery. And Gabrielle has been quite good at bagging them. So that to me seems a little sketchy. I was about to say I'm scared about our corner defense, but I forgot Donnaruma's not playing because Donnarumma is actually quite terrible at corner defending. But James Trafford is a lot better at it. So, and James Trafford is starting the game. So maybe that will help that cause. I'm still going to be nervous about the corners because of how elite you have become at them. I haven't really seen as much of the set pieces as last season, but again, I haven't watched a lot of Arsenal lately, so maybe that is actually a factor, and I'm just not aware of it. So yeah, I'll just stick to the corners as being what I'm most scared of, and obviously your defense is probably the best in Europe. So breaking that down is going to be very difficult, especially if, like I said, if Pep picks the wrong lineup. And for me, that front line has to be Doku, Holland, and Turkey because they're the only ones who can actually kind of break down a defense. I like Antoine Semenyo, but that's not what he does. He doesn't break down defenses. He scores the goals after the defense is broken, or after the attack, after the midfielders or another winger. So after someone else is kind of broken down, or if he has room to run, that's where he excels. I don't think there's going to be room to run in this game. So I need the two best creators on the team right now is Doku and Turkey. Even though I don't rate Doku that highly, I still think he's been one of our best. In the midfield, I think it's probably going to be Nico O'Reilly, Rodri, and Bernardo. And that to me offers nothing in this game, really. There's no physicality. There's a little bit of pace with Nico O'Reilly. But again, like I said earlier in the stream, I think that's an area you guys can really exploit because your midfield is just better than ours right now. I think if we had experimented better, with players who are better in 2026 or 2025, if we had experimented before this game, I would say play a different midfield, but we didn't do that. So I'm not going to go into a final with a midfield that has no chemistry. And unfortunately, the one that has chemistry is one that I just don't rate very highly. There is one open-ended thing in that is I think there is a slight chance that Nico O'Reilly doesn't start this game, and that potentially Tijani Reinders could, because Tijani is quite good at the forward part of being a midfielder. He gets himself into very good positions to score. Yeah, Steve is right. Steve and I discuss this daily about how Pep just can't get the lineup right, and it is a final. Something that would be very Pep Guardiola to do in a final is if he somehow threw Phil Foden into this final, despite the fact that the guy didn't play a single minute against Real Madrid in either leg. That would be such a Pep thing to do because he's done it before. He did in the Champions League final 2021. He decided to throw Sterling in, who had no form, and he did nothing. So there is a possibility that it could be a Bernardo, Foden, Rodri midfield. I would not do that because I think Foden is just form, and I think his confidence is just shattered right now because he's not playing. So throwing him into a big game would just be the stupidest thing you could do. But
if you come to,
it's always going to be an option. If I was going to not play Nico O'Reilly, I probably would play Tijani Reinders because I think going forward he can help the attack. But unfortunately for him, defensively he offers nothing. So that would be a midfield you could completely wipe out if Bernardo, Rodri, Tijani Reinders. There's no defense in there whatsoever. So I don't know. I literally have no clue what Pep's going to do, but. I'd probably just keep the midfield the same, even though I don't care for it. It's just because they have the chemistry right now, so they just don't have the ability, and that's the problem. It's the year is 2026. Pep, you gotta. I don't know why Bernardo's starting all these games. He's just not offering enough for me. And it's been this. He was terrible last season. I don't know why he's starting every game this season, but I'm not the manager. And, I think that's a big reason we've been dropping all these points. We're just not playing the right teams. We have the players. That's what's frustrating me. We have the players we need. They're not playing. We don't have to go out and make a bunch of signings. We already signed all the players. They're here. They were playing well earlier in the season, and they're not getting a sniff now. And their confidence is probably shattered because, they got benched for playing well. And then players who aren't playing well are getting rewarded. So I can see there's just, yeah. Anyways, I'll end the rant there.
That's like again with going back. Oh, we mentioned it. We had briefly mentioned it earlier with the Pep stay or go thing. Look, if he's no matter what happens this season in terms of Sunday and the rest of this season, if if he does decide to go, whoever comes in, you still need this. There's still dead wood that you've mentioned in terms of Bernardo's that need to be moved on. No matter what Pep stays or goes, that needs to happen because
Yeah.
it's another year. I mean, how old is Bernardo now? He looks
He's
what?
31. His
Yeah.
contract does expire at the end of the year. So I've
Okay.
heard a rumor he's been offered a contract, but I
It would be
I
so
don't
typical
understand why, because
Pep
I don't think
favourite.
he's I think we have if we're gonna actually transition this team into a new team, for me personally, it's imperative that he goes because
Do you think?
I can't do a 32-year-old Bernardo Silva who's been beaten like a dead horse for 10 years. I can't have him starting every game next season.
Yeah,
And that's
is
the
it?
problem with Pep is that there's a place for him in the squad as like an experienced player coming off the bench, kind of like what Real Madrid used to do with Luka Modric. Like Luka Modric, he didn't start every game. He'd come on if you needed stability at the end of a game, but they would start a midfield that was actually capable of like succeeding in the current
Mm.
year. But Pep refuses to do that. Pep just runs the guy ragged, just plays him every single game, never rests him. The only way he doesn't play a game is if he gets suspended because the guy never gets injured. So and I think that's actually hurting our team. Like it's hurting our progress because he just doesn't have the legs anymore to do what needs to be done in the Premier League in the year, 25, 26. He's just not that
Mm.
guy anymore. And that's no slight on him. It happens to everyone.
Mm.
Everyone gets old and declines and has to be moved on. And I think Pep is just trying to squeeze the juice out of a lemon that there's just nothing left in it. And, if we had spent the time developing another player, we might be better off this season.
But
Instead, we're going to have to do it next season, and we'll probably struggle again next season because we didn't do it this season. We were too busy wasting the minutes on a player who's probably going to leave in the summer.
this is the thing. You did this with Gundogan as well. Like back in, I remember you brought him back from Barcelona. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's it. Man City are going to win this title because Gundogan's back and he's a big game player, clutch player, this, that, and the other." And what he did, like you say, what he's done with Rodri, what he's been doing with Bernardo, he did. He tried it with last season with Gundogan, and he didn't have the legs anymore. Is it?
Yeah.
Is he,
It's
as you
like
say,
Pep is in
he's trying to
denial. It's
squeeze, but
like the
he's squeezing
brain.
too
Oh,
much out
sorry.
of him. But yeah, he's squeezing too much out, trying to squeeze as much out, but he's over squeezing. But also, he's sending the wrong message to the players he's trying to bring through at the same time, sending the wrong message in terms of, the players that would be playing their positions respectively, I don't believe in you yet.
Yeah.
I need,
I think he just
I
has an
need
immense
Kevin
amount of
on you
trust.
more than you.
Yeah. He just has an immense amount of trust in these players that he's relied on for 6, 7, 8 years. And these are also like world class players, like or borderline
Hmm.
world. Like Rodri is a world class player. Like you don't want to say goodbye to that. Kevin De Bruyne was world class. Like for me, Bernardo and Gundogan weren't world class for me, but they were like elite, like top
Hmm.
level, and they were that way for a long time. And Pep won a lot of trophies with them. But the reality is, they got old and their brains are still there. Like they know exactly what to do. Like they know his tactics inside and out. Like Gundogan's going to be an amazing manager someday. And I think
Hmm.
Bernardo Silva, if he wanted to, because like the intelligence is just off the charts. Like they get the system so well. They've done it for so long. Their brain still knows what to do, but their body just can't keep up anymore. And I think
Hmm.
Pep wants them in there for their brains, but like he's just somehow not clocking that the fact that their bodies just can't move is becoming like that's the margin that another team can exploit to beat you. And
Hmm.
wins become draws and draws become losses because of these fine margins. And 1% decline, you're just not the same anymore. And I just wonder if Pep is scared to kind of move on from these players that he just has so much trust in. The new players are not going to be as good. That's no slight on the new players, but
Hmm.
with the proper development and coaching and Pep giving them confidence, they can. Like I think Nico Gonzalez has improved since he's come to the club, and I think we played very well with him when he was our main DM. But Pep's like, nope, I'm just going to play Rodri because Rodri's my guy. Rodri won me a Champions League. Rodri's won me endless trophies, so I'm just going to go with him without seeming to realize that Rodri's legs just aren't quite there. And like I said, you can still play him with someone else who has the legs, and that would that would probably fix the problem. But then that means benching Bernardo Silva, and he won't do it because Bernardo's that's his guy, for thick and thin. Pep literally said in a press conference that he sleeps better at night when he knows Bernardo's going to play, and comparing him to Messi and all this stuff. And I'm just like, he's been a great player, but like that to me is over the top. Some of these comments about Bernardo, he's just the glazing for this guy has just been too much for me. And that's why I think it's best for him to just move on at the end of the season. Like, I'll never forget what he did for the club, and I'm always going to be a big fan of his. But going into next season, and even into this season, I think he needed to step aside and just not play as much and give the new players a chance. Because every time we put legs into the midfield, we played better, and every time we took the legs away, we played worse. And it's like, I can see it. Like, I think our fan base can see it. The only person who doesn't seem to see it is Pep Guardiola. And that is what's just been frustrating the hell out of me this season, amongst his other issues that I've already addressed.
You mentioned something there about Pep being scared, but potentially, I kind of get it in terms of this is the first for Pep. And I say that because when he took over Barcelona, he pretty much had the jigsaw in place. He obviously had Iniesta and Xavi coming through and Busquets. So all he had to do is just bring them up from the academy into the senior team. He never had to rebuild an entire squad. That makes sense in terms of what he had in Barca. And the second that was about, he felt like that was coming. He took a year out from management in general. Went to Bayern Munich for a few years. Again, didn't have to do much. Just came in, inherited the squad, did what he did. And the second it looked like he had to do a rebuild there, came to you guys. This is the first time he's had to do a genuine squad rebuild from back to front, or front to back, where we want to look at it. And it's probably frustrating him that it is, in terms of the rebuild, it's not going the way he probably wanted it to, in terms of still having that dominance, not just domestic, but still in Europe, having that fear factor when you go to whoever you go to, Bodo Glimps and this and the other. And the fact that these teams are Bodos and your Sportings, and your Fulhams and your Nottingham Forests, that the teams he's used to blitzing are getting something from him, not just this season, but even last season. It probably is. We saw it last season, especially when he's scratching himself to death.
Yeah.
It's frustrating the life out of him potentially. And that, again, that's probably another reason why people, in terms of especially UK journos, are leaning towards that discussion of, if he doesn't win nothing come May, does he walk? Or does a League Cup this Sunday, if he does win it, does that motivate him to do another year? Because obviously, once everything we discuss here, he's got a trophy to show for it. Because if he went, worst case happens from your point of view, you don't win Sunday, you don't win the FA Cup, and we don't throw away the league. That'd be a first for him in terms of not winning anything for 2 years in a bout. He's always used to winning something most seasons, if not one season. He did one season last season, and the first season arrived where he didn't win nothing. Other than that, he's always used to it. So it's how he mentally would deal with having that to his name then, whilst again trying to do that rebuild. Then you had early on in the season the whole Enzo Maresca side. I think if you go for Enzo, there's a mistake there. I
don't see that happening. I don't know why that rumor is so popular.
Again,
I don't see that at all.
Like I said, he's a protege or Pep, basically. And the media just latch onto it and go, well, he's worked under him. Clearly, Man City love him and they know what he's about. If he went there, I think that's a mistake. No, don't get me wrong. When Pep does go, either this summer or next or whenever, there will be a drop off in terms of what you've been used to over the last decade plus. But it still needs to be a name, if that makes sense. You can't just go, we've had the best, and now we're going to come all the way back down to a Mancini level, basically, where it could be one season you're great, one season you're bad. You can't go back to having what he's put in place to then go backwards to what he inherited in the first place. Where you'd have a title winning season, no title win, no title. Title, no title. The inconsistency side of things. And I think someone like Enzo Maresca would bring you the inconsistencies.
Well, I think any manager will. And what Pep has done in the past, like even 6 to 7 years, that will never be replicated. Like, I'm not expecting the next manager I don't expect the next manager to win 6 out of 7 titles. I just don't think that's
No.
possible. Like, that was extraordinary. That's an outlier.
Mm.
I can see us kind of going back to what we were with Pellegrini and Mancini, where sometimes we'll win the title, sometimes we won't, but we'll probably pick up some odd cups here and there. And I think that's more of like my expectation. Like when Pep is here, that's when I expect more because he is so great. But when Pep leaves, I'm not going to expect the next guy to do what Pep did. I think eventually what they want to do is, I think sometime in the next 5 years, I think Vincent Company will come home. He's just earning his chops right now. He's honing his skill set right now at other teams. But I think the long-term plan, maybe by 2029, 2030-ish, is I think they want Company to come home. And I think
All
Company
that
wants to come
legacy.
home as well.
Yeah.
Because I think Company's married to a Mancunian. So um, I think that will be the plan eventually, but I don't think Company's going to be the guy post Pep. And
That'd be
Pep
too
is
much.
going to leave at some point. He's not going to stay here forever. I personally think he'll just see his contract out and then just go next summer,
Yeah.
unless something really major happens in his life and he needs to resign this summer. But I don't keep
But
tabs
this
on
is
that. That's his
this.
business.
So yeah, I agree with you in terms of the club. From my point of view, when Wenger left, there was heavy rumours that, even as you know, there was heavy rumours that Arteta was the number one choice even then before we brought Emery in. But at the last second, they decided no, we're going to go with the Unai Emery route. And obviously, didn't work out. But we've had this discussion for years ever since then that it probably worked out for the best because having an ex-player come in for the legendary manager to replace the club's legendary manager, in our case, as Arsene, that's so much pressure to come into and go, put your philosophy down, put your ideas down, put everything you want in place. If anything, having that Unai Emery sort of gave the breathing space for Arteta to then come in and do what he's done, respectively. Have the time frame to break everything down, rebuild everything from the foundations up. And I think it's the same for City. No matter who they bring in, it can't be an ex-player. It can't be a company straight away. Like you say, it needs to be someone no association to Pep whatsoever. Because the pressure's already going to be there, but it'd be tenfold if you're an ex-protege or ex-player of his that's coming in straight after him. And mentally, that's a whole another game you've got to deal with.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of possibilities out there for me. I agree with you. I don't think Enzo Maresca is that guy at all. But I've been watching a lot of Cuomo this season and Fabregas. I don't know if he'd come to City because of his Arsenal ties, but I like what I'm seeing out of him. He plays very attractive, stylish football that I think would suit a lot of our players. I've also Julian Nagelsmann, the Germany head coach. He's got some. I think that would be a really good interim fix because I don't know how long that guy's contract goes for. I think it's after the World Cup. I could even see potentially a Xabi Alonso. I liked what I saw from him out of Leverkusen, but obviously Real Madrid was a completely different story. But that back three system, that back five that he plays, they played at Leverkusen, I think would actually suit a lot of players in our squad. So I know we're not going to have the same success we had under Pep, but I don't think the club is just going to be. We're not going to just suddenly become a mid-table team. And
No.
I think we're run too well for that. Like, because I think our owners are ambitious; they want to win, so they will back the new manager. What for me, the important thing is just get somebody who could see eye to eye with the sporting director, so that they can form some trust and build the correct squad. Because like I said earlier, I think there's just been a little disconnect between the sporting director and Pep, where we're just recruiting a lot of players that don't fit Pep Guardiola right now. And that's probably why he's struggling so much and why he's relying so heavily on his guys who know his system. Because like we've recruited players who don't fit Pep's system or don't fit, like they don't have the tools. Like they're necessarily the same level of intelligence as some of the football intelligence is what I mean. That kind of stuff. So I know there'll be a little bit of a drop off, but I still expect the team to be competitive, and I think we'll still go for the league, and we'll still, we'll probably be competitive in Europe, and who knows, maybe we'll get better in Europe. I don't know, because as great as Pep is, we've had a terrible record in Europe. We've had the best team for how long, and we only won one Champions League that we.
Yeah, I did.
So we got to do better in that, and that is something Pep has not been very good at.
I'll be honest. When before you won it a couple of years back, my one thing against Pep was This is the reason he was brought in. He was brought in to win the Champions League. He hasn't won it yet. This is before you won it. I was like, he hasn't won it. He always messes about. Leon's, the Shakhtar Donetsk, and all that.
Oh, Monaco just came out of nowhere.
Monaco as well. Like
Real Madrid,
mad moments. He has, as we
them.
mentioned in this show, he has his brain fart moments in the wrong time, and it always cost him in Europe. He hasn't won it yet. Yeah, he's doing great domestic, but he wasn't bought. You had your Mancini's, your Pellegrini's that were doing the domestic side of things. You just needed to take it to the next level in Europe, and he wasn't doing that, as far as I was concerned at the time. And as you say, barring winning one of two finals, and even then the first final, he with the experience he had, still messed up that one when it's on the plate for him against Chelsea. As far as I'm concerned, that was a gift to Chelsea, basically.
Thomas Tuchel that season just had his number, because remember we played them in I think we played him in the Carabao and we played him in the FA Cup and we played him in the league, and Pep lost every single game. So Tuchel just had his number that season.
Yeah, I mean, again, he came because Tuchel came in and he was like, new manager bounced, and he basically did what he did at Dortmund and was like, got to know everyone straight away. He was on a friendly basis with the players. He basically did whatever he could to get the lift that he needed, and it got to the point where we got to the final and got him over the line. And yeah, he obviously, I think if the new ownership screwed up, that new ownership of Chelsea, yeah, it makes the Cronkies look good, and that says a lot in terms of, even though the Cronkies nowadays since Arteta's come in, have improved, and it's more so since Josh got given the keys to the club and more hands-on approach that the club actually pushed in the right direction to this point. I still have my issues with them, but that's in terms of the stand and all that. But we'll cross that bridge when we have to come to it, whenever that may be down the line. But that's again, I'm not sitting there saying, no, Pep goes, everything goes backwards. No, you will still be competitive. Let's not get this twisted. It's just the ownership need to get. They don't make the mistakes of a Man United in term. When I say that, hiring an ex-player just because they're next player of Pep that knows the club from Pep's point of view straight away. That's, as you say, that's a later on down the line. That's a 2 or 3 year down the line situation. You need to steady the ship, but just fans like Hamza need to realise that the transition, in terms of when the new manager does come in, whenever that may be, there will be a drop off. He won't be what he's been used to. So as quick as someone like him can get used to that and jump on board of that, the better it will be for him to then get behind who that manager is, and then be ready for when your version of a company or whoever comes in as an ex-Pep player down the line to kick on from there on in. But going back to Sunday, what is your score prediction? Do you normal time, extra time, penalties, and more importantly, do you think you'll win it?
It's a 50-50 for me right now. If I had to go with my gut, I don't think we're gonna win. I don't like the way we're playing right now. I could see it being like a 1-0 or a 2-1. Just something happening. I don't think we're in good form right now. I think a lot of that has to do with Pep just like dismantling a team that was performing so well. And I know he's gonna play some players in there that's gonna make life easier for you. Like I said, that midfield in particular, I think you'll be able to dominate that midfield. Because in the year 2026, we're still playing players who are not in their primes. So that is frustrating for me. If he starts the right lineup, I could see us winning. But even that right lineup is still struggling to actually convert chances. We created more of them, but Haaland is not bagging right now. He's not in great form. So, I mean, I don't mean to be a negative person, but I don't have a lot of confidence going into this game. So I would say, if I had a gun to my head, I would say I don't think we're going to win.
I get that. For me, I heard a lot of this recently. If this final had been played prior to, we just at Forest, but before you played Forest, I think it's a lot closer in terms of both teams going into gone into that final similarly confidence wise, form wise, and all that. But the fact, and there's a couple of games, but still, in all comps 4 games, you've drawn 2, lost 2. I know Real Madrid, but the thing is, when I say it's Real Madrid, it's not the Madrid of old. It's a Madrid that was there for the taking. Just again, Pep being Pep, and I think that's for me switched it to where I'm going into it now, a bit more confident than what I would have been a couple of weeks ago in terms of. A couple of weeks ago, I'm thinking 50-50. Whatever happens. Whereas now I'm going into it saying, I think we win. I don't think it'd be a blitz either. I think it'd be
No,
either
it'll be a
one.
tight game
It'd be a
regardless.
tight game. I think it's either 1-0, 2. A bit tightly fought 1-0, 2-0, either which way. I think we get over the line. On that side, I just think Arteta will be drilling it into the players even as we speak. Going into this, even on match day itself. Don't switch off. Be switched on. Literally cover every blade of grass. Make it difficult for them. Play our game. Frustrate the life out of them by doing so. And when the chances come, you'll take them. We'll get out of it. We'll win this. And Arteta does have a good record at Wembley, player and manager point of view. He's not lost there yet. Yet being the operative word. Now I've said that. But yeah, if it goes Pence, does Pep sub on Donnarumma? I don't think he does.
I think the only chance he would do that, it would be a penalty shootout.
Oh, you reckon that's what he's asking. If he went to penalty shootout, would he?
Oh yeah, I actually don't know. I would hope Pep would have the confidence to just keep the cupkeeper in, but Donnarumma does have a pretty good record in pen shootouts, so I wonder what he would be tempted to do.
It's Wembley as well, from an England point of view. Don't like seeing that anymore. Donnarumma can stay on the bench actually saying that.
Oh yeah, yep. Remember the Euros, 2021. Donnarumma, 19-year-old.
Yeah, no, okay. Even then, he did it. He's been around for so long. He doesn't even look like whatever. Early 20s now.
He's 26, and he looks like
mid-20s.
He looks older. He looks like 45.
He has done ever since he broke through at AC back in the day when he was like 16. He's like,
yeah,
you're not. No.
It's because he's losing his hair, and also that scar that he got on his face when he got cut. Like that just makes him look so old. I'm like, this guy looks like he's fresh out of prison. Like.
I say I think 1-0, 2-0. I think it'd be tightly fought either which way, but I think we win this 1 or 2-0. Personally, I just think I'm a bit more confident we're going into it. But we're going into it a bit more confidence-wise. Players, we're going to confidence, form is key as well, and I think we're hungrier. I think because of social media, and I don't care what anyone says. Players and clubs are all switched on social media. Having the battering ram with this particular squad having the battering ram of you're the bridesmaid, second place FC, bottlers, and this, that, and the other. That's going to be. I think that's what's been keeping them going this season to make sure they don't slip up anymore, and then what they have done in the league this season, getting us to this final. My only concern, as I mentioned, is the left-hand side of our wing, our attack, our front three. Other than that, I think we'll do an actually really good job, and we will frustrate the life out of you. But our chances will come. One of them will be a set piece, just to annoy everyone. It will be a set piece. I'm bracing myself for that and having the meltdown from all the other rival fans, including Hamza. As you can tell, I don't like Hamza.
Oh, I haven't noticed.
I think even he's not clocked onto that. But
well, I hope you don't lump me into that side of our fan base. I think that I get a little dramatic and hyperbolic myself, but I feel like it's all rooted in facts, at least.
No. As I said at the start of the show, you're the one of the more level-headed City fans that actually are going to open, they're honest, and they're not going to say anything just for the sake of getting clicks and views or this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I don't do that because I don't get clicks and views. So
the fact that we're sitting here and you're saying you're not confident going into a final, says, whereas Hamza will go, no, we're going to blitz you because you're bottlers. Instead of like, go away. He's already got his. I've watched him on Sunday on Judge Mo's and Hassan's channel on this Sunday just gone. He's I'm going to the game, but I won't be on the show. If we don't win, I'll be too busy. I was like, he's like, I know, no,
He's making his excuses.
he's got excuses
Well,
in
I'm
already.
leaving my house after the game, so that's my excuse for not going on post game. So win or lose, I'm literally leaving my house and driving
But
for
it's the
2
fact
hours.
he gives it all the chest, and when it comes down to it, actually, I won't be around because
Yeah.
I've got to go from Wembley to here to there to get home. And people are in the chat going, no, actually, you're lying, Hamza, because we live in London and we know this route. Da, 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 da. And they've actually got to a point where they said, when you get home, let us know, we'll go live, no matter what time it is. But if he was, fair enough, if you're confident, you're confident, but he goes to chest, and when it comes down to it, it backfires. He does everything. He's, especially this season, he's been doing everything he's slandered my fan base for in terms of blames the referee, blames injuries, does this, does. But when it comes to when they go, well, hang on, but wasn't that you don't hold that same reasoning towards Arsenal or anyone else? Arsenal, but it's
Yeah,
it
he's
does
like
my
their
head in.
bottle job.
Yeah, he does he drives me mad. But thank you, by the way, Steve, for the £4.99 USD super chat. As a neutral, I think the game becomes much more interesting if Man City score first, particularly if it's early. If Arsenal score first, they'll hold on. That's interesting because I do agree. If we score first, we will, and it will frustrate the life out of an Arsenal fan because especially the ones that are there on the day. I know a few people are going themselves. It'll frustrate the life out of them in one sense because they just want to blow that whistle. Let's not mess about Arsenal because any time and all that. Especially we've seen like brief moments this season where they'll come out, not communicate, and make a mistake, so that will get people on edge. But it's more so to rattle the rival fans again, and I'm all for it. And especially this season, everyone's going on before we wrap things up. Everyone goes on about this style of play. Da, 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 da. If you don't like this, how we're playing now, you would have hated George Graham era football. And at the end of the day, when George Graham was doing it at Arsenal, guess what? It got us trophies. So from an Arsenal point of view, we didn't care. 1-0 to the Arsenal became 1-0 to the Arsenal because of him. Boring Arsenal was around that, based all around that. So if you don't like Arteta ball, you would have hated George Graham ball, but it got results. It proved the point. And yes, we've had the Arsene Wenger where we go and played the amazing football, the beautiful football, we won trophies. But with the fact we've tried to continue that in the early years of Arteta, we've tried to continue. It got us second spot. We've had to go back to basic and the foundations of the late 80s, early 90s, and get the ball rolling there. If it gets us over the line, I'm not sitting there complaining. I'm sitting with a league title. I'm sitting with a League Cup, and whatever else comes in the season going forward in years to come. Silverware, trophy's a trophy, a win's a win. I don't particularly care how we play because it's going to get us a trophy. If we were playing crap, if we're playing like this and not getting the silverware, then yeah, I'm complaining. I'm like, well, hang on, you've took us backwards in performance-wise in terms of how we're playing X, Y, and Z. But we're not. We're third. We're 9 points clear. Don't care about the game in hand. We're 9 points clear. We're in a final. Fifth round, quarterfinals of the FA Cup, quarterfinals of the Champions League, potentially a semi-final of that, because I do think we'll blitz past Lisbon and full juice, but we blitzed them last year in one game, so I do think we'll have more than enough to, and that was on their ground, by the way, in the league phase. So I do think we'll have more than enough of them. But going back to Sunday, I do agree with this, that if we score first, it will be handbrake. What we've been seeing all season, really, against anyone. Like, handbrake on, come break us down if you can. And if you do, we'll come out again, score again, and then put the handbrake on. That's what we've been doing all season. And another reason why we play like this, other than the fact that the beautiful football hasn't got us over in the first place, is that teams have been coming and going, right, park the bus, break us down. And everyone goes, oh, okay, you've got to find a way. Hamza says, you've got to find a way. No excuses. We find a way and everyone complains. So,
is your fan base complaining at all about it, or is it just the rivals?
You probably get a handful of our fan base that are so used to the Wenger style of play. They'd never, especially the young fans that didn't know George Graham era. They're so used to the Arsene. They came in the Arsene Wenger years. And they're so used to that style of play that this is completely alien to them. They're the ones that are more like, what on earth is this? Why can't we do this playing beautiful football? And but the older generation, as I say, my age and older, that have witnessed the George Graham era and beyond, and previous to that, know that that we've done it historically. We have played this way before. We have won trophies with this before, be it league. So was it under George Graham, 2 league titles, FA Cup, League Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, in the space of 5-6 years, just under George Graham, and obviously years going back further. The only time we played the beautiful game in the attractive football was under Arsene Wenger and briefly under Arteta before he's gone back to doing this. He's got to go back to basics. But as I say, I think it's more so the kids that are so used to the Wenger way, they don't know don't know any other way barring that. This is alien to. But for me, as I say, we are top of the league. With 9 points clear, win a final. Potentially could get to another final, if not 2, if we play our cards right and luck goes our way. To take it as it is. If it wins the trophies, I'm happy. End of the day, I'm sitting here come May with my team doing parades and winning titles. I'm not complaining how we're playing because it's got us that trophy. Last season with our women's team, the manager we had to start that season last season, awful, absolutely awful. It was lost the dressing room and all that. He got binned off. His assistant actually took over as an interim. She's the one who got the job, but she had to basically come in, get the confidence and everything going. And obviously, she's then gone from the style of play that he was playing, which was very against what the strengths of the players were that we had. And she's played to the players' strengths, and we won us the Champions League. Again, I'm not here complaining because it got us to a Champions League. There's a few the games are here and there where there's a bit, but it got us to a final. It got us in that final against the best team in Europe in the women's game, and we won that. So again, I'm not going to sit there and whine about it. We didn't play the final amazing football. We took our chances. We shut up shop after the 70th minute then, and went break us down, and they couldn't break us down. So we got out of the trophy. It's about not just over the course of the seasons on the day, especially in finals, in the moment of how do you go into that final? How do you want to play? How do you want to, when you're in the lead, when it's so tightly contested, how do you want to address it as a team, as a manager? And it all works. It all comes from that. If you're all unified and you're all mentally switched onto the same mindset, you're walking away with that with the trophy. Simple as really. We don't always have to play. I mean, look at Leicester City. It was counter-attacking. Literally, the definition of what we're doing in terms of they would sit back and counter-attack. That was it. Those that got them the title. That was 10 years ago. But yeah, anyway, we're going to get out of it because we're going for an hour and 24 minutes nearly. Blimey.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Oh yeah, get to the second's ticking down for the final. Generally,
Are you going?
No, because it was a ballot from our point of view. We had a ballot, and because again, there's the one thing I will say before we go. The one thing I hate with the FA and the EFL is that when it comes to the FA Cup final or League Cup final, for a 90,000 capacity stadium, both clubs only get just over a split of 64,000 split between them. The rest goes to their sponsorships or YouTubers and all that. Really does my head in.
Yeah.
They go fucked in there probably.
Boring.
So I would love to, but it is what it is. But a friend of mine helped on the channel. He's going. So he has said if we were to, obviously assuming we do win, he will come on live from Wembley. So that would be interesting as well if we were to win. Other than that, if he doesn't, see you later. Oh, don't. That's the one. That's the one.
I'm only busy if they lose.
The main reason I don't want City to win, obviously, because I'm an Arsenal fan, I want Arsenal to win. But even if Arsenal wasn't in the final, I'd still want City to win because of Hamza.
Oh. Big up Hamza, though.
He hurts my head.
I'm gonna say big up. I'm gonna back my guy for 1 second. Yeah. For one small thing.
I did a little 6-second video I sent it to Judge Mo on Sunday. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you on what's name if I can.
Yeah.
On X. Just a little. yeah, just a little thing, a little cartoony video of Hamza getting in the taxi, and yeah.
No.
But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
guys, thanks for obviously popping in and obviously getting engaging in the chat and obviously getting involved in the chat in terms of conversation as well. If you haven't already, and obviously you're new to the channel, you subscribe. Thank you very much as well. Hit the like button, share the content around. And once it is rendered, if you've got any hype stuff this week, if you want to hype the show up as well, that'd be fantastic. If you could do that as well, if you want to become a member, just press the join button. There's the 2 options there. Pick your poison, whichever one. They're both very cheap, basically. I'm not one of these YouTubers that take the piss with memberships, basically. I know people are struggling. And yeah, apart from that, we will get ourselves out of here. So next time you'll see me tomorrow for the women's WSL game against West Ham, I think we're playing. Early kick-off, we'll do that. And then after that, it's the big one on Sunday. Please, Arsenal, don't let me down. After all this, end the 6 years, win something, get that taste, and let's kick on. But thanks, obviously, for Kel's coming on and giving it your point of view from the city and giving us a bit of a deep dive of how things are going over that side of the woods. I will say good luck, but yeah.
I understand. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, we've been talking about this for a while, so that was a great conversation. So
hopefully we can do this in a couple
worth
weeks.
everyone's time.
Maybe we can do this in a couple weeks' time for the league game, depending on how Sunday goes.
Yeah, I'll be around. I'm on vacation for part of the international break, and then I'm actually going to be missing the Chelsea game because I'll be in Ireland. So, but I am back for the Arsenal game. So yeah, we could probably figure something out then.
Okay, that's only back because you won't be far from about an hour. You're in Ireland, you'll be an hour after me in the plane. Right.
I know, and then I might be going back to Manchester in May. I'm waiting for the Premier League to confirm the fixture that I'm looking at going to. So they're allegedly going to confirm it in April 1st. So I have to.
So like depending on the FA Cup, basically, or something. Okay.
Well, I looked it up. The FA Cup semifinals are the weekend before, so it's not on that weekend. So that's nice to know.
Okay, so Premier League just taking its time, basically, as per usual.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest fear is just them like randomly moving it midweek, but I have a feeling they're not going to, but I'm just waiting for confirmation because plane tickets are very expensive right now. So
yeah, I can imagine, especially with
I don't want to. I want it to stay on Saturday too. I don't want it to move to Sunday because if it was, I could just go for a couple of days, which is not the greatest coming from the West Coast of America, but I'm still young enough to do these crazy trips, so I better keep doing them while I'm young enough. A couple of years from now, it's not going to be fun anymore. But we can try it.
Well. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, so yeah, see you later, guys. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you on Sunday for the final. As always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.